Did want to get to ExxonMobil because while we certainly will not forget the last week in terms of what it's meant for the market and these names, I do think when we look back, we'll probably look back at the announcements from the likes of GM and what we expect this morning, at least in this conference call that's just beginning from ExxonMobil, as perhaps more momentous and more important. And here I'm talking, of course, about really what are the development of a new industry, or one that's just in its early stages, namely EV, the changes that are being wrought in auto manufacturing and in those who supply the fuel for those automobiles. And there you get to ExxonMobil, which did report earnings this morning. It was a large loss. A lot of that is write-downs that we've talked about in the past. But I want to focus people on Darren Woods, the company's CEO, this morning, because it's an important conference call that he will be leading. And it's sort of a different ExxonMobil in some ways. There's going to be, as you take a look at the loss and the CapEx spending that they did, where they are, of course, CapEx continues to be a focus for the large investors who are in there. D.E. Shaw didn't nominate directors, but we do have a new director today. His name, as you see at the end there, is Juan Arfin. He was formerly led Petronas. So you've got somebody with energy experience coming on there. You've got the creation of these low carbon solutions businesses and the $3 billion they'll be investing. But even more importantly on this call, it's my understanding that Mr. Woods is sort of going to try to send out a message of a level of accountability and being more shareholder friendly to a certain extent, more transparency in a way. Obviously, they will talk about the dividend, which remains sacrosanct, at least at this point. Debt payments, investments, operating expenses, CapEx, things of that nature as well. But Jim, you know this company. I mean, Rex Tillerson, yes. Lee Raymond, these guys were like emperors, and it was like the Kremlin over there. You didn't really know what was going on. It's a different ExxonMobil. We'll see if this new board member makes a difference, but there will be likely another significant board member coming, and they did give note to this in their press release as well, saying that in the near term, they continue to look at potential directors. And in the near term, they expect to have more news on that front. Fascinating to watch the transition here. Take a look. That's actually what they said. Discussions with other director candidates, a range of skill sets for a potential addition to its board. And they went on to say that that's something that they expect to take in the near term, Jim. So I did want to focus people on ExxonMobil. Yes, GameStop, incredible. But that announcement from GM last week, the moves ExxonMobil's making, these are things we may remember for many years to come.
Yes, David, look, first time, we're talking about Exxon first loss in 40 years. The old days, what I would do is I would turn to the sheet that they put out and talk about production growth. And production growth was okay. Oil liquids up 2.3 million versus 2.4. That's not bad last year. Natural gas a little disappointing. But what's amazing, David, is what else do they put out in this release? That they're meeting generous methane reductions. They're talking about flaring and cutting flaring down. David, those are not the things you put in a release during a Trump administration. But when you're trying to be able to get people to say, you know what, is Exxon an ESG company? Are they working on carbon capture? What it says is, hey, maybe this is a new Exxon. Is it a new Exxon? It's got, look, any stripes can change, but boy, were you ever right? Exxon was always the company, David, that had the 50-year plan. It's Mike Wirth at Chevron that has the plan to be able to get it so that oil is a bridge fuel. But you mentioned Mary Barra today, David. I spent some time talking with Mary. You know, David, GM is not waiting. They're not going for the 2035 bridge fuel. Obviously, Tesla isn't. So there's a race against time and a race against ESG. They might be able to win some ESG by talking about methane flare, but they're still flaring a lot. Can they race against time? David, the love and the amount of money that this market is willing to give to EV, David, tells me the clock is ticking even for Exxon.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.